park in the hills of northeast LA to hike around and meet some spiders for myself.
Oh my God, I love that the back of your car has a bumper sticker that says, "This car is full of spiders."
I mean, sometimes it's true.
And tonight it is true because Lisa has a little friend waiting in the back of her SUV, a tarantula named Taco.
It's perfect. It's LA. Taco. It's perfect. She's an LA spider.
She's an LA spider. So this is a type of tarantula that is found here in LA County.
I think of tarantulas as the warm and fuzzy spiders. At least I'm hoping.
They're like little kittens.
Okay.
Just with 8 legs and fangs.
Okay. Let's just hope this one is a kitten because I will be honest, spiders gross me out. All those legs, they're so creepy crawly, and I hate accidentally walking through their sticky webs. But Lisa is here to change my mind, something she aims to do all the time at the museum, where she is the program manager of the Spider Pavilion, an exhibit full of live spiders. One of her goals in life is to convince people to appreciate arachnids by learning more about them.
Because I really love these spiders, and I know that they are harmless, and I know so many people are so stressed out about them, and I want to take that off their list of things to be stressed out about.
So Lisa beckons me to touch Taco, yes, as in pet a tarantula, step 1 in addressing my spider aversion, so I gingerly stick out my finger to caress her on the butt.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's so silky.
They're very, very soft. You're doing great.
Am I? She's walking away
Yeah.
from my finger.
Taco very politely says she needs some space, so we begin hiking up the trail to look for other spiders, specifically orb weavers, the ones that spin those fancy circular webs.
So I know that you wanted to meet right before sunset as dusk was setting in. Besides the potentially spooky vibes, why is that such a great time of day to hunt for spiders?
Well, most spiders, not all, but most spiders are more active at night, and they're catching things that are flying around at night.
Gotcha.
So this is a great time to look for spiders as they are building their new webs.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them will rebuild their web every day or even every other day.
Oh my gosh.
They're
They are
out.
workers.
Yes, imagine having to rebuild your entire house every day.
No.
We pause at the top of a hill, right at a lake, where Lisa says the hunting for orb weavers is good. She knows all the good places because she has been obsessed with spiders since she was a little girl.
In fact, I get more passionate, enthusiastic as I get older. And I think the less an animal is like people, the more curious I am about them. But in particular, these orb weaving spiders, these are animals that have no wings.
Right?
And yet are exclusively catching these fast-flying insects that are flying around on this planet, which I just find to be incredible, right?
Right.
It's just mind-blowing to me.
Through evolution, it's managed to be able to build an architecture, a tool, the web, to catch these flying prey.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically able to access this whole buffet that's going on in the air.
At this point, it's getting dark, so we switch on our flashlights and begin to patrol the lake's edge.
A bat just flew over, so we can look for some bats, too, while we're looking for spiders. Why
cool.
not?
Why
right?
not? It's Halloween.
It's Halloween time. Let's do it.
We're walking slowly, scanning with our flashlights.
Look at this spooky tree. See, this would be perfect.
Yeah.
If I was a spider, I would live here.
We're searching for some shimmer of silk against the night sky.
Oh my God, there's one right in front of us. It looks bright white under your flashlight.
And then, all of a sudden, we start seeing webs everywhere.
Oh, yeah, look at that one. My guess would be this is her last night on that web, and then she'll probably break it down. And when they actually consume their old webs to recycle the protein,
they will eat their homes. And
recycle some of those nutrients to produce more silk. That's, precious protein.
Totally. Also noted you use the pronoun she, so only female spiders are the web builders among orb weavers.
So the males can produce silk.
Okay.
But these particular spiders that we're seeing, the females are the ones that are much larger and making these really large webs. And the males are really just focused on mating.
God, this is such a parallel.
And
woman's taking care of the work.
Yeah. So, and I'm hoping we'll be able to find some of the males, but they're so much smaller than the females, they can be hard to spot.
And then, high up in a tree, we do spot what could be a teeny tiny little man spider lurking at the edge of a big web, poised to approach the plump female sitting at the center.
Yes. Okay, so that might be a male. Yeah. Oh, look it. She definitely responded to him coming out on the web.
Wait, like in a get off my property, get off my lawn?
It very seemed like get off my lawn. But that does look like it's a small male that is trying his best to convince her that he should be able to like come down there and mate with her.
Yeah.
And then other times, if the female catches something and is eating, then the males will take the opportunity to come down and attempt to mate with her, because if she's occupied with eating on something, she's less likely to eat him. And
He
more
will
likely to-
interrupt her meal.
She can multitask, so she'll keep eating.
The male backs away. Sorry, you tried, but sometimes a female just isn't in the mood, okay? But seriously, I had no idea this gender dynamic transferred over to arachnids. And after learning all of this about just how industrious and innovative spiders are, you know what? I have become a true believer. I asked Lisa to make the case for spiders for those non-believers out there.
Well, they do so many different things. I mean, one, they're eating insects, so they're helping as a natural form of pest management. But they're also a part of the food web. There are other animals that eat spiders too.
That's an important function.
Absolutely. Spiders are really interesting because they're some of the first animals to repopulate areas that are regenerating after, maybe there was a fire that came through, or the trees were cut for some reason, and then we're trying to reestablish that natural area. When spiders are really little, when they're babies, they release silk that allows them to balloon or fly away from where they were born. So they're some of the first animals that will start to repopulate areas. So they're really an important indicator for restoration ecologists when they're coming in to see how things are growing and getting better.
They're like the earliest signs of promise in a area that you want to resuscitate or revive. If you see spiders there, that's a good sign.
Yes, they're a sign of hope.
They are a sign of hope. I really like that. I feel like when I proceed with my life after parting ways with you tonight, I'm going to be extra careful about not walking through webs, about making sure I definitely never kill spiders from now on. I might not have the same promise with flies and mosquitoes or ants, but spiders will have a special honor in my world, okay?
That's a great start. That's a great start.
That was Lisa Gonzalez, program manager of the Natural History Museum of LA County's Spider Pavilion, helping us all learn to love spiders this Halloween.
You're listening to All Things Considered. Support for NPR comes from this station and from Odoo, maker of all-in-one management software with the goal of being simple to use for all employees. Learn more about Odoo at odoo.com. From the Walton Family Foundation, working to create access to opportunity for people and communities by tackling tough social and environmental problems. More information is at waltonfamilyfoundation.org. From Workday. Workday is an AI platform for forward thinkers dedicated to transforming the way business leaders manage people, money, and agents today so they can transform tomorrow. Workday, moving business forever forward. And from the listeners who support this NPR station.
Welcome to our evening meeting for October 28th. The board held its regular afternoon session at 2 p.m. today, followed by a closed session. I'll now move to item J, certification resolution. In the closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matter which was identified in the motion to convene in closed session. Only those matters lawfully permitted to be discussed were under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act were discussed. Is there a motion to adopt the certification resolution?
Move the motion.
Okay, I'll second that. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes. We move to item K, second reading of ordinances and public hearings. Item 1, the petition of Isla Boyd to obtain a special use permit to operate a short-term rental on approximately 0.5 acre of land zoned R1 low-density residential district located at 3352 Colonial Avenue, Cave Spring Magisterial District. Philip Thompson, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you mentioned, this is a short-term rental. Property is located off of Colonial Avenue, not that far away from here. Across the street is the city of Roanoke. So it's located at 3352 Colonial Avenue. As you mentioned, it's about half acre in size. Current single-family residence on the property, and they are seeking a special use permit for a short-term rental. A couple photos of the property, kind of sits up from Colonial Avenue. We have the driveway. You have a parking area. They do have room. This was mentioned that cars could turn around up there and head down when you come out towards Colonial Avenue. A couple photos of the backyard that are there. Again, this is the driveway looking back down towards Colonial Avenue. You see the development in the city on the other side. View looking one direction from the driveway, I think to the south. This is looking back to the north. You do have a little bit of a blind curve, but hopefully folks coming out, be cautious coming out as well. This short-term rental is just for the lower level of the home. The applicant will live on the upper portion of the house, so it's roughly 1,305 square feet. A couple photos. They do have stairs leading down to that lower level from the outside. Here's the entry into that short-term rental on the lower level. Pictures of the living room and kitchenette. They have a little nook and a little table fireplace area. Again, some other office nook and some other photos of the downstairs. The two bedrooms, one's a larger bedroom and then there's a smaller bedroom. That would be for occupancy. The maximum number of folks that they would utilize is 4 adults or 4 guests, overnight guests at one time. A couple photos of the bathroom that's down there as well. As you're well aware, a short-term rental is defined as the provision of a room or space that is suitable or intended for occupancy for dwelling, sleeping, or lodging purposes for a period of fewer than 30 consecutive days in exchange for a charge for the occupancy. We have a variety of general standards associated with that use. They have to get a zoning permit, which is different than the special use permit, and provide us information about the applicant and who's the contact for resolving any issues. If any of that information changes, they need to notify us within 30 days. If there's a new owner, that zoning permit expires. The special use permit is still good, but the zoning permit expires. The new owner would have to get a new zoning permit. And then obviously if there are any violations associated with the permit or standards, the zoning administrator could revoke the zoning permit. It requires a special use permit because in R1 and R2, if it's less than 5 acres, we require them to get a special use permit. So surrounding zoning, all R1. In the city, I think it's a mixture of the zoning districts as well, but there are single-family homes across the street. It is neighborhood conservation, which is trying to maintain the existing development pattern. This proposed special use is in conformance with that neighborhood conservation future land use. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing earlier this month. There were no citizens to speak on this application. The Planning Commission discussed how this petition was originated. Again, it's not currently being used for short-term rental. She reached out to us and wanted to know the process before she started that. They talked about the notification of adjacent property owners, and we filled them in on who we sent that to. that the short-term rental will only be for the lower level of the house with the property owner living on the upper level, that she did have house rules, that the short-term rental will only be used roughly twice a month, is what she's proposing. Parking spaces on the site and the ability to turn around in the driveway, which we talked about, there is room to do so, and that they have adequate parking. The zoning permit requirements, and also the future land use designation of neighborhood conservation. So, Planning Commission recommends approval of the short-term rental with the following conditions, and these are the standard conditions we've been putting on short-term rentals. Number one, the short-term rental shall be limited to the lower level of the existing residential dwelling, which is approximately 1,305 square feet. The number of overnight guests shall not exceed 4 people. 1 off-street parking space shall be provided for each guest room, in addition to parking spaces required for the principal dwelling. All parking shall be provided on-site and shall be located in driveways and other designated approved parking areas. Property owner shall provide and maintain a good working order every smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector, and fire extinguisher required by law. Exits required by law shall not be obstructed. The property must maintain a residential appearance. No signage shall be allowed with the short-term rental use. No events such as parties, banquets, weddings, receptions, meetings, or similar events shall be allowed within the short-term rental use. And then a business license shall be obtained from the Commissioner of Revenue for short-term rental use. With that, take any questions you may have.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Thompson?
No, sir.
Okay. I invite the petitioner or representative of the petitioner to come forward and speak.
So, good evening.
Hello.
I don't have anything to add, but I would just make myself available if you have questions or concerns.
Just state your name, who you are. and-
Okay, Isla Boyd, the property owner and
Okay.
petitioner.
All right. Yeah, anybody have any questions of Ms. Boyd?
No question.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right. All right, at this time, I will open the public hearing. Do we have anybody, clerk, signed up? Okay, I will close the public hearing, and I'm ready to entertain a motion on the rezoning request.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve this application, but I have several comments I'd like to make before that. As my colleagues on the board well know, I have generally been in opposition to applications for these kind of special use permits for short-term rentals. Particularly, I appreciate the board's support. If you recall, a couple years ago, we had the issue with respect to White Pelican and the property buried deep in Penn Forest, and there was another subdivision right off Colonial on the other side of 419. I want to support this application because I think it's important to distinguish this from some of the others that we've had. Number one, this is a half-acre lot. It's larger than the quarter-acre or smaller lots that we have in other areas, at least in Southwest County. Number two, this is not what I perceive to be a commercial use. That is, we've had folks come in who own multiple properties, and then they want to treat these other properties as short-term rentals. This is not the case here. Here, you have the owner who's going to be living on the upper level and renting out the lower level. That's another element to me, because the concerns I have had, and I think other board members have had, is with short-term rentals, you have a potential for disruption in the neighborhood. Well, when you have the owner living in the same house that you're renting a portion out, you're going to minimize or probably eliminate those kind of problems. In the conditions, we're going to be limiting to 4 people. In addition, you're not going to have parking out front. You have off-street parking, and I think you saw from the pictures a lot of space to park any additional vehicle behind and off of Colonial. And I'm not sure if the other board members are that familiar with that stretch of Colonial. It looks like a 2-lane road, but for people, at least in Southwest County, Colonial Avenue is sort of the back way to get to Virginia Western, and to Towers. If you want to stay off 581, you go down Colonial. Colonial is heavily traveled. And I think that this shows a difference. This property and this application is not one that's buried deep into the middle of a subdivision. It's out on what I call a main highway, even though it's only 2 lanes. So I think, again, you have a very different location. I think for those reasons, this is an application we should approve. And because of that, I would move that we approve this application. I believe it does meet the requirements of 3019-1 of our county code. It conforms with the standards set out in Article 4, Use and Design Standards of our zoning ordinance. It's in conformance with our comprehensive plan. And because of those other factors that I mentioned, it will have a minimal adverse impact, if any at all, for any of the neighboring property owners. So again, I move that we approve this petition to obtain a special use permit. And I would add the 7 conditions that are listed in our agenda materials, and those are the same 7 conditions that the Planning Commission recommended to us. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second
Okay,
on the
got a
motion,
second.
and for the many reasons cited by the gentleman from Cave Spring.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Okay, and hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes. Thank you. We move to item 2, the petition of Hotel Shift Capital, LLC, to obtain a special use permit to construct 100-plus multifamily dwelling units on approximately 3.35 acres of land zoned C2, high-intensity commercial district located at 6510 and 6520 Third Lane Road in the Catawba Magisterial District. Philip Thompson, Director of Planning, welcome again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I think a lot of you are familiar with this property.
Yep.
Yes.
We are.
Past. Property is located off of Third Lane Road. It does also have frontage on Peters Creek Road, former Knights Inn hotel there that's had many problems in the past. Again, 6520 Third Lane Road, and I think 6510 also Third Lane Road are the addresses. It is a little under 3.5 acres. It used to be a 120-room motel. They're currently not in operation. There are 2 motel buildings and 1 office building that were there. So they're requesting to get a special use permit to convert the 120 motel rooms into 105 multifamily dwelling units. So currently vacant, was operated as the Knights Inn until early 2025. In 2022, the United States Attorney planned to seize the property due to an alleged drug and sex trafficking conspiracy. They are obtaining the special use permit, and the sale of the property is a part of the settlement agreed to between the owner and the United States Attorney. So some photographs. That's the front building of the property, the office building. You can see some of the conditions of the existing hotel buildings. The pool will be filled in and used for parking in the concept plan. Again, different views. I think this is from the Motel 8's site. And then here's the existing entrance. They do share an entrance with the Waffle House on the corner. This is the frontage along Peters Creek Road. So, we do have a definition for multifamily dwelling, a building or portion thereof which contains 3 or more dwelling units for permanent occupancy regardless of the method of ownership. Including this use type would be garden apartments, low and high-rise apartments, apartments for elderly housing, condominiums. So in the C2 district, if you are using more than 50% of the site for multifamily dwellings, you have to get a special use permit, and that's what they're seeking here. The concept plan, so the building footprints would remain generally the same. The pool area would be replaced with additional parking. Parking lot would be rehabilitated with spaces increased from roughly 90 today to about 159. The site development would include landscaping, surveillance cameras, and LED lighting. Would use existing access point on Third Lane Road. They've also talked about having gated access in certain locations to keep out others that may not want there, and I think the applicant can talk a little bit more about that. A couple renderings, a little different look than the pictures you saw. Pretty nice design on the outside. Here's the floor plan of the buildings. So again, they're going to be pretty small efficiency units, different sizes. There are a few that are a little bit larger that they convert into, they split one room between two dwellings, multifamily dwellings. Rendering of the clubhouse. It'll have office space, it'll have for the operation, it'll also have meeting space for the tenants, it'll have a couple of bathrooms as well for their use. Existing zoning is around it as C2, high-intensity commercial, and all C2 around it. It is core. It's a future land use where high-intensity urban commercial and high-density residential developments are encouraged. So multifamily up to 24 units per acre is a desired land use category in the core, so it is consistent with that designation. There was a public hearing again, the Planning Commission on October 7th. No citizens spoke during the public hearing. The Planning Commission discussed the number of dwelling units, similar project the applicant has constructed, the occupancy rates of those other projects, the need for housing in the county, need to improve the condition of existing property, the security measures that would be put in place, the surrounding zoning and land use, and the future land use designation. So the Planning Commission recommends approval of the special use permit for multifamily dwellings with the following conditions. One, that the property shall be developed in substantial conformance with the concept plan entitled 6520 Third Lane Road, multifamily redevelopment concept plan, prepared by Bolzer and Associates, dated September 8th, 2025, subject to any changes required by the comprehensive site plan review process. Second condition, the proposed building shall be renovated in general conformance to the schematic renderings, exterior elevations, and schematic floor plans, which are exhibits B, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, and B6, prepared by Bolzer and Associates, dated September 8th, 2025, subject to any changes required by the building plan review process. And then 3, the maximum number of multifamily dwelling units shall be 105. With that, I'll take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Any questions for Mr. Thompson on the?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I have several, and some of these are just to make sure people know what's going on and what's been discussed. But I did have one point of curiosity, and that is keeping this in a commercial zoning with an SUP as opposed to an R3 zoning. So is there an advantage to this zoning as opposed to R3?
One, it's typically, well, it's cheaper to get a special use permit than it is to rezone property.
There you go.
That's one.
Okay.
The fact that, we put this in place to allow it up to 50% to have more mixed-use development. So we have had projects that have gone to 100% before. So it's just a mechanism that folks can use. The difference between a rezoning and a special use permit, if it's a rezoning, then we have to rely on the property owner to submit proffered conditions to limit what can go there. Whereas a special use permit, we get to set the
Gotcha.
standards associated with it. We don't have to worry about, in this case, the owner is not necessarily the applicant, it's the original owner, so it gets a little complicated. So having special use permit conditions sometimes is.
Made it
Well, we
easier.
can set the conditions on the approval.
I completely
Yes.
understand. That makes a lot of sense. So I was curious about another thing, too. The hotel originally had 120 units, but the condition says 105. So
Yep.
it seems like it should be fewer cars, but I'm actually seeing in the traffic report that it went from 405 weekday trips to 531, and I found that curious.
My guess that deals with occupancy rates and probably the Institute of Transportation Engineers generates traffic numbers for different land uses. And so I'm sure there's for a hotel, there's a certain level of traffic generation that, and obviously the time of day is probably a little bit different
Sure.
when hotel guests leave compared to it being, multifamily dwellings where they're probably leaving at an earlier hour would be my guess from a traffic standpoint. So it's just probably the rate that's probably occupied more, and therefore there's more. And so it's based on those numbers, that's what they came up with.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And then just a note, and you mentioned it and detailed it quite well, but you mentioned the United States Attorney planned to seize the property due to alleged drug and sex trafficking conspiracy. So getting this SUP for the new owner is part of a settlement agreed to between the owner and the United States Attorney. So my question is, it appears that there's almost another layer of enforcement with this type of arrangement. Is that accurate?
As far as it transferring over and once it's transferred over, one of the things that our county attorney's office asked for was, because the settlement agreement was between the original property owner and this, and they wanted to make sure that the company that's purchasing still had that right to move forward with it, and they provided that information to us and to our county attorney, so they were okay with that, about moving forward. So the county attorney has kind of blessed them going through this process.
Perfect.
So-
Perfect. But it's not like there would be an ongoing enforcement to
Now,
make
once
sure
it's sold and then they develop it.
it's over.
Yes.
And that's actually good news. So I saw something in the staff report that discussed a right-out only exit onto Peters Creek, that there was some discussion of that, and I was wondering if that was perceived as needed. I do know that sometimes turning left out of that hotel can be tricky. There was even some talk about the bank on the left, and that during
don't-
high traffic times, it's
Yeah, I don't
difficult.
think they are proposing that. I think there are some issues with third lane today. I do think when they get to the site plan review stage, obviously VDOT will, and the city, I would imagine, will review that as far as that traffic is concerned. I don't think there's, at this point, proposing any limitations at this point. I think they're looking at, is that an alternative?
That's
maybe to look at.
an interesting point, though, because actually that would be mandated by the city, wouldn't it? It would not be
They
VDOT.
own Peters Creek Road.
Right.
So part of the issue is also, their access is off of third lane, which is a VDOT road. So what can VDOT do as far as restricting certain things on Peters Creek Road? So I'm sure when we get to the site plan process, it'll be routed to both of those agencies.
Excellent. And then my last question for you, has there been any discussion about children in these units? Will it be an adult only? Was there been any discussion of that?
I'll let them speak to that as far as who their market is to, but I would think 250 square feet or 500 and something square feet is roughly the size of the units. Could they have children? Sure. Makes for a small space for two people to be
I'll
in,
ask.
but
I'll
I'll let
ask
them
the
speak to
petitioner.
that. They may have some children, but I don't think there'll be a lot.
Okay, I think that's all I have for you at this time. Thank you.
Any other, yeah, Mr. Mahoney, go ahead.
Two questions, and Mr. Thompson, I'm not sure if you would answer them or the applicant or their reps. My first question deals with what I read in the materials, a joint access with the Waffle House, and how will that work? And then second, I think in the board's agenda package on page 196, they talk about security and controlled access, and I'd like to hear more about how they're going to do that when you have a joint access with Waffle House. And be prepared. So do you want to pass that to them, or do you want to address that?
I'll let Ben speak to it exactly. I brought up the issue also after the planning commission meeting. So if you look at the site plan, they currently have a joint access. There's currently a joint access. They're going to try to maintain that as well. So it wouldn't, the first building is the office building, right? So my understanding is the gated access would be more from the drawing that Ben kind of shared, and he can go in more detail. They're still trying to work, I think, all of those details out, would be between where those two buildings are. the office building and the building to the south. There might be a gated portion there, which would limit, because that's really the only point that would take you all the way around, I believe. There might be another spot they were looking at a gate as well, but Ben can address that as much. But I think what they're trying to do is security cameras, lighting, having open landscaping, and having gated access to control who comes and goes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, Mr. North.
So these are going to be basically short-term.
Well, I don't know how short term I think
I was
it's.
just curious if they're going to be 6 months, 1 month, month to month?
No, I think they're full, I'll let them speak to it. I'm sure they're
Yeah.
renting them out for a full, year term. So they're just smaller efficiency units that, I think again, from the planning commission meeting, I think rent is around $900-ish per month. So I do think they're full-term lease like you would at a normal
Okay.
multi-family development. But again, I'll let them speak more to that, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're proposing.
They're definitely taking a limit and turning it into almost a rose, if you will, because what was there
Right.
was a disaster. So, and it seems like the petitioner's got a lot of experience in this area, too.
Yeah, mine and the owners are here, and they can talk to but they have other projects. I think there's a couple projects in Texas they're working on. And that's kind of their niche, is taking these older hotels and transitioning them into multifamily dwelling units, apartments. So,
Okay, any more? I invite the petitioner or representative of the petitioner to come forward and speak. State your name and let us know who you are.
Good evening, members of the board. Ben Crew with Balzer and Associates, agent on behalf of this request, representing Hotel Shift Capital LLC. Here with me this evening is Alex Cartwright, and he's going to come up here in just a minute and share a few thoughts and a little bit of background, and we want to certainly answer some of the questions that you all presented this evening. But I want to walk through a couple of items just as a little bit of background to supplement the application package that we've provided to you all, and looks like you've had an opportunity to review. So again, Hotel Chef Capital is a contract purchaser for this, so they're purchasing it from the owner, from the current property owner, with oversight from the U.S. Department of Justice. And, from the beginning of this, in talks with the development team, the focus of this project is obviously we're changing the narrative of the real estate, right? We're reimagining the use, we're investing in supporting the county and the region with additional housing options that this project presents. So we're pretty excited about that. And it's really important, and we try to convey this as part of the site plan and architectural drawings, is, this is full-scale transformation, right? This is not a repaint, this is not seal the parking lot, that's not at all where we're headed. And we try to convey that as part of the application package, and especially the intent and the time that we spent as part of the narrative, because we wanted you to understand the background about what we want to do for this particular site. It's important to note the conversation started with our team, in the spring of 2024. And so there's been a lot of time spent on due diligence, a lot of conversations. We're excited to be here with you all this evening. We've gotten to the point of being here in front of you all, so that's exciting to be here. There's intentional effort and attention given because, again, we want the right fit, the right location, the right renovation, and certainly the appropriateness for the housing product that Alex and his team are providing. And so the application package that you all have before you outlines a lot of that. We're excited to have Planning Commission recommendation and staff support as part of this project this evening. And then to talk through a couple of the questions, and I'll let Alex share a couple of details. But as far as lease terms, the lease terms are like any other multifamily facility, and Alex can dive into that a little bit. Philip outlined the controlled access, Mr. Mahoney, a little bit, and the way that that's going to operate. Do they have what's on the laptop, or do they have what's on the screen? Perfect. Thank you so much for that. So, little bit unique where we have an out parcel as a Waffle House here on the corner that we do not have control over. But the way that Waffle House operates, they have parking in front, and then they have a few parking spaces in the back of the building too. and they have rights and cross-access to access around their building and then both sides of their parking. And so we're going to maintain that. And so the controlled access that we're talking about is residents will have key cards, and as they enter the site from Third Lane, we're anticipating controlled access between Building 3 and Building 2 in the middle, and then additional controlled access between Building 2 and the landscaping or on the Peters Creek Road side. And so you would have key card access at that point. They've used that process in other facilities, and it's been very well received because you don't have anybody just making loops in the parking lot that shouldn't be there. And so that's how we're accommodating the cross access for the Waffle House and then the gate access or vehicular access for the residents that are living here. And as far as children, I'll let Alex talk about that too, but, with this being one bedroom or efficiency units, there'll be children in the complex, but we're not anticipating a handful of children just because of the space constraints associated with that. So I'll let Alex share a few thoughts, and then be happy to answer any questions. So.
Good evening, Commissioners. Pleasure to be with you. We're pleased for you all to consider our application. We look forward to being developers in Roanoke County and to taking something that's not in its prime and bringing it back to something the community can be proud of and providing some safe and affordable housing to the folks that live here. I'll speak briefly to the children. While I certainly can't commit to excluding children from being residents, I'll echo what Ben said. Just by the nature of them being smaller and more affordable units, we're not going to attract families, and we're not going to let 3, 4, and 5 people live in these tiny units, right? I'm sure that fire code will not permit that kind of thing.
That's really was the crux of my question. I was wondering if there was an occupancy limit per unit.
Whatever the local code is, will follow that. And I'd be surprised if more than 2 people or so, or maybe a single mother and 2 small kids would be allowed in a small unit like this.
Mm-hmm.
Our product just doesn't attract families, but there are single mothers on limited
Sure.
incomes that have got
Sure.
young kids, so occasionally we've got residents like that.
Okay.
So what's your target market? Your target market?
Sure. These are folks that are employed, but just they're budget constrained, and they're folks that are, maybe they work at a warehouse or in retail, and but they're maybe $40,000 a year or less, and the difference between a $1,200-$1,300 a month apartment and paying $850 or $900 with everything included is just a big difference to them. And so that's our target market. Folks that are employed, they're not necessarily completely dependent on government. This is not designed to be like a HUD project where we're targeting folks on vouchers, but they're folks that are just on the lower side of the income spectrum. So we say that this is workforce housing, not capital A affordable housing. It's more affordable by nature, but it's workforce housing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I have quite a few
keep going,
things.
Keep going. That's
So,
fine.
the first thing I want to say is thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us and give us a comfort level of what your vision was in this whole project, because it really did help my comfort level going forward. And I know for the people that I visited with in the community and adjacent neighborhoods, once they saw the vision, I know that there was a better feel about what was coming forward, from the feeling that it should just be knocked down to maybe it could be salvageable and be a real asset to the community. So I appreciate your good work. I don't think that this is an easy process at all. I really appreciated the fact that there was discussion of touching every surface in each unit. So it's not like some of it will be the same. It's all going to be different. And I know in the staff report anyway, it said somewhere between 900 to 1,100, and I would assume the 1,100 is the separate bedroom option.
That's right. Right, so that's just maybe an upper end estimate for one bedrooms
Okay.
with everything included,
Okay.
utilities included there.
Okay, so I see some of our professionals, maybe even some of our first-year teachers or firefighters, that maybe that this would be an option for them. And so I appreciate what you're doing with that. I have some other things that were just really discussion items, and some of them could be rhetorical, but if you'd bear with me, I just wanted to go through a couple of things quickly. I saw where there was a trip analysis, I mentioned it briefly to Philip, about how that there will be an increase in traffic generation. And then I also saw that during the plan review process, that there might be even additional studies or calculations that have to be done in the review process. Can you speak to that?
I can, do you want to take that?
Sure. So we wanted to just provide a comparison of, hey, what does the motel that's there, what's the trip generation associated with that, and then what's the trips associated with this apartment complex? They were, what was shown either on a daily or a peak hour didn't move the needle from that side. It didn't warrant any initial studies. We didn't meet any thresholds required from VDOT or the county to work through this process. Certainly, if there's additional studies that are needed as part of site plan, we're willing to do that. But with this, it's such a low volume and number, most of the time, we're not associated with traffic studies on, trips that are that low.
And I was just wondering, once again, I saw something in the staff report that talked about that right-only exit.
Sure.
And I think the one time that may be a good thing would be when school lets out. And when Peters Creek is especially busy. I know that that's also a Roanoke City street.
Sure.
Third Lane is a VDOT-controlled street. So has that really even been considered, or do you think that that's not even on the radar at this point?
So it's on the radar, but to be addressed during the site plan phase. And so we're not modifying our access location, and we're not the only user of Third Lane either.
Right.
And so there's certainly considerations based on that. We'd certainly want to understand the priorities of the county and the priorities of the city. Third Lane connects to a lot of roads in the area. And so there's some important parcels that may connect to. And so certainly there's visions from both sides that we would want to understand as we work through that.
And I respect that.
And whether there's a time of day restriction or a peak hour restriction, I think all those are up for discussion. We'd be happy to have those.
And I know that there was some discussion too about sidewalks, and I look back at the existing sidewalks, they're fairly non-existent in that area, but if there was something to connect to, would that be perceived as part of the project?
So sidewalks for this particular parcel are unique, where we don't have frontage around the Waffle House on the main corner. The portion that is on Third Lane is tremendously steep and has challenges associated with that. And then if you got into Peters Creek Road, where the hotel stopped a little bit further off their property line, the reason why they stopped is because there's a large drainage culvert there. And so there would need to be improvements associated with that to extend that back for those right-of-way improvements to come down Peters Creek Road. And so that's initially why we didn't try to tackle that right-of-way improvement project as part of this, because of those, severe constraints from that side.
And if we could go back to slide 3, Rhonda, and see did I hear you say something about access? Maybe it was even just pedestrian access to Peters Creek. Did I hear you say something about that?
So I didn't share pedestrian access to Peters Creek. What I said was, we were talking about vehicular access and gated access from building 2 out to the edge of the drive aisle headed towards Peters Creek.
Okay.
Yes, across that drive
Okay,
aisle.
because I was trying to see, I didn't see an exit there, so thank you for
Correct.
clarifying that.
Sure.
So maintenance and personnel management will live on site?
I'll let Alex talk about management of their properties.
So we're interviewing property management companies right now, assuming that we can move forward. And, but at properties of this size, our view is that we should have management on site. And at our other properties of similar size, we've got management and maintenance live on site.
I think that's excellent. and to further discuss the gated community concept here. And I saw something about advanced security technology. Is that just referring to the key card?
Exactly. Fob that someone can use to lock and unlock their door can be the same fob that they use to
Get in the
open a
gate.
gate. And those are issued to each resident so that we can easily track who's coming and going, which fob, when, and that's something we do at other properties.
And I really liked the fact that if there was anyone who was non-compliant, you could refuse their entrance in the gate.
We could.
I liked that also. What will the clubhouse include? Or do you know yet?
That is what we've spent the least amount of time on. And so I don't have a specific design and plan, but at minimum, we'll have a leasing office. We'll have some common area space for people to, when you've got a smaller unit, sometimes it's nice to have some common area space to go and meet with somebody or do some work or et cetera. So some kind of common space will be in that building, and maybe some recreation tables where somebody could have a birthday party and invite family over, things like that. But the exact design of that is not done yet. There is an owner's unit in that building right now, so perhaps that'll stay and be a unit that we could use for whoever lives on site as part of management. But again, the exact design, we're just not that far on the clubhouse.
Understood. I hate to ask you to do it again, but if you'd go back to that slide 3, there's a wooded section, I guess, in this far north, I don't know what my directions are here. Is that northwest, northeast? In that upper portion of the lot. And I know that there was some discussion about maybe some nefarious activity going on in the woods. I know with it being gated and fenced and all that, that should eliminate that. But I know that we had some discussion about that in some of our conversations.
Yeah, it's just, in my opinion, really overgrown. When it's so overgrown and it's close to the other hotel, it's just an easy place to hide, right? So I think getting rid of the overgrown landscape, thinning it out, making it look more manicured and well-lit is gonna eliminate that as an attraction for anyone that wants to hang out there.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I think that's all I have.
Okay,
this time.
so I got a couple. Did you have some questions?
I have just one.
Okay, let me.
You go ahead, because you may hit it.
Yeah. So motel rooms don't have washer dryers. How are you going to tackle that?
Yeah, so there'll be a common area with laundry on site, right? And we'll dedicate either one room to that, or it'll be in the clubhouse. We've discussed a couple locations, and so that's not, the location of it's not finalized, but 100% there will be washer dryer on site for the residents.
So that's sort of a community group. So I guess the mail will be centralized too?
Exactly. You have a mailbox room, similar to other multifamily complexes.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Very good.
The quick question that I had, going back to, you were talking about the rent being around $900 per month. And does that include all utilities? Was I understanding you correctly in saying that?
Yes, ma'am. And this is, of course, it's a discovery process when we're going to test and we'll see where there's demand and there's leasing velocity, right? But something like, you can think of a base rent of $750 to $800, and then there's a $100 fee for water, electricity, right? All the utilities to be included.
Okay, so that gives you the
That gives you that
ability to raise it
$850
if you
to
need it.
$900, right?
Will each unit have its own, I guess, similar to a hotel, its own heating and cooling, kind of like those wall units? or-
Absolutely. They're called PTAC units, and so those will all be replaced with new, functioning, efficient PTAC units, so that every unit individually air-conditioned and heated.
Okay, thank you, that's all I've got.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. North.
What's the square footage of the one bedroom, roughly?
500. Which is-
288 to 500.
Yeah,
is
so
the range.
a standard hotel room is 12 by 24, 288 square feet.
Yep.
And we think that makes a comfortable studio, and we've converted those in other cities. some older properties have got smaller hotel rooms that are more like 255. And our view is that those are on the tighter side. We don't want to have too many of those. So what we do is, we've got a lot of those units. It makes sense to combine them, and then you get the one bedroom that's nearly what a purpose-built one bedroom would be in terms of square footage.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more questions of the petitioner? Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, we now open the public hearing. Do we have anybody signed up to speak? Okay, we will close the public hearing. And at this point, we'll take a motion on the petition.
Mr. Chairman, this is in the Catawba District, and I just want to say thank you for your efforts in working with Roanoke County and with this project. It's going to be a huge improvement, and we're truly grateful for that. So I have a motion to approve, and I find that the proposed special use permit meets the requirements of Section 30-19-1 of the Roanoke County Code, and that the proposed special use conforms with the standards set forth in Article 4, Use and Design Standards of the Roanoke County Zoning Ordinance, is in conformance with the Roanoke County Comprehensive Plan, and will have a minimum adverse impact on the surrounding neighborhood and community. I therefore move that we approve the petition to obtain a special use permit with the following 3 conditions. The property shall be developed in substantial conformance with the concept plan entitled 6520 Thurlane Road Multifamily Redevelopment Concept Plan, prepared by Balzer and Associates, dated 9/8/2025, subject to any changes required by the comprehensive site plan review process. The proposed building shall be renovated in general conformance to the schematic renderings, exterior elevations, and schematic floor plans, exhibits B, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B6, prepared by Balzer and Associates, dated 9/8/2025, subject to any changes required by the building plan review process. The maximum number of multifamily dwelling units shall be 105. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, got a second. Any further discussion on the motion?
Just that this is an exciting solution to what was a long-running legal headache for our community. I hope it works. It looks very challenging, but this is a good positive step.
It is, and we thank the future owner coming in here, risking. It's a risk, but you've done it before, and that's a great accomplishment on your part. Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Cartwright, thank you very much.
We move to item 3, the petition of WRV Properties LLC to rezone approximately 25.3 acres from the ARS, Agriculture Residential District, with special use permit to I-1 Low Intensity Industrial District, and to obtain a special use permit to operate a construction yard located at 3233 Catawba Valley Drive, Catawba Magisterial District. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I think this used to be the old Moose Lodge out on Catawba Valley Road. It's been for sale for a little bit, roughly a year, I think, in the process, and it's been vacant. And so the proposal is to rezone it to industrial, get a special use permit for a construction yard. It is at 3233 Catawba Valley Drive. It's a little over 25 acres. Currently vacant, previously used as a club. That was the Moose Lodge. Obviously, the request is to rezone it from agricultural residential with a special use permit to I-1 for retail general office. And they're also requesting a special use permit for construction yard. Here's a flood topo map. So, most of the development is on the back side of the property. There's a little bit of floodplain. There's some ball fields on the lower part of the property, closer to Catawba Valley Drive, as part of this project. So a couple of photos. It's hard to even see on this photo where the actual development is, but it's on the hill that's in the back. And some of that floodplain area. Again, just different views. When you come up the driveway, there's another road that kind of goes around to the back side of the pool area. Is a picture of the building that will be used for their office use. Parking, plenty of parking out there that they've had for the Moose Lodge when it was out there. A couple of other buildings on the property on the backside. There is a special use permit that was granted a while ago for a cell tower. Obviously, the cell tower will remain with that special use permit. Existing pool on the property that was used at one point. They are proposing to renovate that and I think expand that as well. And so there's a couple other photos of that pool and the clubhouse behind it as well. So the property operated as a club use type from 1983 to 2024. The site contains one main building constructed around 1983, a pool house, pavilion with picnic tables, ball field, and a broadcasting tower. The club ceased operations in the fall of 2024, and the property is currently not being used. The history of special use permits, when it was the Moose Lodge, they did get special use permits for campground for the use of their members. And so there was 2 one-year, I think, special use permits. In 2005 was the special use permit that was approved for the cell tower. And then in 2010, they had a 2-year special use permit for outdoor gatherings. I think they were having some gatherings at the site and they needed that to generate revenue at that time. So I'm not going to read all these. So there's retail sales as part of their what they're seeking, and that is permitted in the I-1 district. General office is also part of this use, which is allowed in I-1, and a construction yard, which will house, basically it's housing facilities of businesses primarily engaged in construction activities, including outside storage of materials and equipment. Obviously they build pools, so they have equipment for building pools. And therefore, that is going to be considered a construction yard. Concept plan, you kind of see the existing buildings are in purple. They are proposing some additions to the existing office building, or I guess the main building on site, and adding a little warehouse behind it. They would build a new 20,000 square foot warehouse behind the existing building. They're proposing to expand the pool from a 25 yard to a 50 yard or 50 meter pool. They also are going to add a splash pad, and then there'll also be some parking that they add down below to offset some of that, where they may have, I think they want to have maybe some swim meets potentially out at that pool, and so they will need parking for that. I think the construction yard will be gated with their equipment and their supplies as well, so that's also part of this project as well. Everything around it, AR, agricultural residential. Again, the S stands for the special use permit for the broadcasting tower. Generally, it's rural village, limited development activity. Typically, these are in rural communities and farming areas. Again, obviously, going to an industrial use is not consistent. There are some pieces of it. Obviously, the recreational pieces would be consistent with that, but generally, it's not consistent with the future land use destination of rural village. Public hearing, again, beginning of this month, October 7th, by the Planning Commission. We had one citizen who came out and spoke during the public hearing. He discussed the decline of the property since it had been vacated, but was confident the applicant would take care of the property and keep it well maintained. He was not concerned with the uses since they are limited in scope. His one concern was the storage of chemical on site, but understood that this would be regulated by various agencies. So, Planning Commission discussed the development of the site and proposed uses, the proffered condition, the recreational amenities on site. Most of the development is toward the rear of the property. The chemical storage and inspection The business would be a positive addition to the county, surrounding zoning and land uses in the future land use designation. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the rezoning from ARS to I1, and the special use permit for a construction yard with the following profit conditions. So the profit conditions associated with the rezoning. There are no conditions associated with the special use permit. So the profit condition is that the development of the property shall be in substantial conformance with the concept plan entitled WRV Properties LLC, dated August 26, 2025, prepared by Balzers and Associates, subject to those changes required by Roanoke County during its comprehensive site plan review. The good thing about it being a profit condition, it runs with the property. It's not associated with the special use permit, which would only apply to that particular use. So by having the entire property, having the concept plan be what it is, that's what it's going to be developed as. So with that, take any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thompson, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, this is also in the wonderful Catawba District.
Go for it.
And I just have a couple of questions. So it's a rezoning and a special use permit. We have it worded in one motion, and so I
Correct.
assume that's all good. Okay, and what agencies regulate the storage of chemicals?
So they were talking about, obviously, the fire marshal will make part of that, and I imagine the building code will have certain things, but I'm sure they're going to make sure they are in compliance with that. They have to do it now in their current business there off of Melrose, right? They have chemicals stored there. Again, most of the chemicals are dry storage, or I'm sure there's some liquid chemicals as well. They will have to deal with the regulations and inspections that are associated with that. And since they've been building pools for quite a while, I'm sure they're used to what they have to do for that.
So I understand that they were choosing option one with type D buffering. So did I read that correctly?
I don't know what they're choosing as far as what they're going for. When they come through the site plan review process, we'll look at that.
Okay.
There are different options, obviously. Whispering Pines is behind it, which is a county park. I think they own a lot of the property that
I'm gonna
abuts
ask
this
about that,
property
too.
as well. So we'll look at that, what option they want to utilize. Existing vegetation can also be used for the
Right.
buffer. Again, we look at all the things on site, and is what's there and what they're proposing, doing the intention of buffering it from surrounding uses.
So I know that this will probably also be done in the site plan review, but there's going to be a fence around the pool. Do we know how big that fence will be, if it will be, what type of fence it will be?
I'm sure they can speak to that. I take it it'll be what's around most pools. I'm
Okay.
sure. Part of that's going to be a building code issue as well. They have to have a certain size fence around it and have it secured, so people can't wander into it and what have you, so.
And so my last comment for now is just that there are a couple of stray industrial sites in the area, not
Correct.
adjacent, but there is some historic industrial uses on Catawba Valley Road.
There are.
So, but I appreciated the way that you all phrased it in just continuing some of those recreational activities, because it's a combination, it's a unique combination.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those things, unfortunately, that this is the route they have to choose to get the desired result. I don't think what they're proposing is that much different than what exists today, okay? The storing of products would be, but you can make an argument that, farmers are store chemicals on their property.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's no different than that. I don't think it's much different of farm equipment being on the property than having a backhoe on, I'm sure there's lots of properties in Catawba that have equipment on them. So it's not that different in that regards either. Again, so we did look at AV zoning to see if that could work. There are some limitations on the square footage of retail sales in AV. So we did look at options, and we did have discussions about what are all the possible things. I-1 made the most sense. Obviously, you could go to I-2. We didn't think that made sense. The fact that they're also proffering the concept plan limits what can happen on that property.
Right.
So what you see on that plan is what can happen. If you want to change that, you have to come back before you all, or whatever Board of Supervisors exists at that point, and to amend that. And so what they tried to do was show everything that they thought that they would do on that property for quite a while. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other, yes, Mr. Mahoney.
Mr. Thompson, I have a question with respect to buffering, and it would apply both to this application and then the next one, the Hamler one. This past weekend, my wife and I drove out 311 and looked at the property.
It's beautiful.
We were on our way to Solstice Farm Brewery, but I did pass this property. But
So your observation was better going than coming back?
much better, yes. But looking at the property, and particularly you look at the photographs, there's a significant amount of trees and landscaping and foliage. And so I guess I have a question that maybe applies not just to this application and the next one, but maybe many of the ones that we do. How often does existing trees and bushes and foliage satisfy Roanoke County zoning ordinance? I guess what I'm getting at is, does our ordinance maybe do more destruction to the natural world than what is already existing? And part of it is looking here, but also part of it is looking at what Publix is doing right here with Mr. Radford and Mr. My district. They had to take out all those trees that were bordering that existing residential subdivision for Publix. I understand that. But also when I look here, there's just a tremendous amount of buffering. Are they going to have to tear all that out to put in D?
No. So what in our ordinance, we do have the ability, our zoning administrator is very good about this, is you can use existing vegetation on your site to count towards the buffer. Okay. We're not going to make somebody tear out existing lands or existing vegetation to then put in new vegetation. Now, there might be areas that they supplement an existing area with some additional plantings in front of, but we're not going to make them tear that out.
Okay.
That makes no sense. So in the design or the site plan review process, we try to use common sense. Is it meeting the intent of our ordinance? And the intent of our ordinance is to buffer adjacent sites. The fact that you have whispering pines behind it, that's all vegetated behind it, comes into play too. So
I guess I was afraid that
we're not going to make
technically when you look at industrial adjoining AR or AG3, all kinds of red flags go up.
Yeah, in this case, my guess is they're going to use a lot of, their existing vegetation. There might be some places where they have to supplement that, but it's going to be I would imagine, very minor in the scope of things.
Thank you.
Any further discussions, questions? Okay. I'll invite the petitioner or representative of the petitioner to come forward and speak.
Balzer again.
Good evening again.
Double
Record
duty.
Pin Crew with Balzer and Associates, agent for this group as well. Before I get started, I brought half the football team here with me this evening. I'm going to introduce them real quick, and I'm going to let Austin Vaughn is here with us, Jason Vaughn and Lee Vaughn is here, and then I'd be remiss if I didn't say Winky Vaughn is here, CEO of National Pools, and so we've got the whole group back here. She's not included in the football team. She's the coach. She's the coach. But Austin's going to share a couple words with you all in just a minute. But Ms. Hooker, you said it correctly. This is a unique request. And it's got kind of all parts to it, which we think is pretty exciting, and WRV thinks is pretty exciting too. We've looked at this property and we started out and we didn't want to change the character, especially the character along 311, right? So that's kind of the recreational component of this, and then you have the operations back behind it. We mentioned it a little bit earlier, but we're blending, primarily office and retail, but it has a construction component, so we need to address that. But from more exciting side, it's got a recreational component. And we think that's pretty special about this project. And so, certainly the Moose Lodge has its day and time, but, the campers need to go, and the poor maintenance needs to go, and their contacts are not even local anymore. And so we had to communicate with folks that are out of town, and so they've left this property, and it had its time, and so we're going to try to breathe new life into it. So we're pretty excited about that. As we looked at this project and brought this before you, this is a big move for a Roanoke Valley business that's been in Roanoke City for a long time. Started in 1977, grown their business for the last 50 years. A lot of that was part of the conversation. And included in the narrative is a pretty detailed plan of the phased approach to this. And, very calculated, very straightforward approach, but tremendous investment planned with this. Certainly lots of parts of, hey, we want to get the pool up and running to serve the community. We want the baseball field to continue to operate. And in parallel with that, we're going to focus on the office portion and the retail portion, and get those up and running as well in calculated phases. So that's what I'll share kind of starting out, and then I'll invite Austin to come up and just hit a couple highlights from his side. And they'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay.
How are y'all?
Welcome.
Austin Vaughn, WRV Properties. As Ben said, my brothers Lee and Jason, our mother Winky's in the back there. Mom started the company in 1977. We're a swimming pool construction company, built high-end, residential and commercial pools. We are very excited for the opportunity to move our business to the county. We are a growing company. We're looking for a place we can expand. This happens to be right beside my residence and my mother's residence, so it makes perfect sense to us to try to enhance this declining property. We are also very excited to embark on a new venture that we've had for a long time, which is operating an aquatic facility. We've always, dreamt of doing something like this to provide Roanoke with a 50-meter pool that they are currently lacking. So we're very excited about that, and look forward to working with the county in the upcoming years to enhance this property. So thank you for this opportunity.
Great. Questions, go right ahead.
Thank you. Can I just say thank you for what you're attempting to do? I mean, this is the second petition in a row where we have dilapidated properties, and there's a dream to go forward and make it new again. And so we appreciate what you're attempting to do. Just a few questions and observations. So currently, the business is on less than 1 acre. Is that accurate? And so now you'll be moving to this property?
We're actually on 5 acres.
Is it 5?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right on Melrose, we're 5 acres. It's all paved, but it is 5 acres.
Okay. I must have misread that. But you're moving to a site that's 25. So
Correct.
that's a substantial increase in property and what can be done, and I think the sky's the limit on that. So what types of materials and equipment do you see being stored outside?
So right now, we have excavators, some skid steers, excavating equipment. Most of that equipment stays on job, so it's not always there on our site at National Pools. We do have some PVC pipe, we have some rebar, we have, one pile of gravel and one pile of sand, and that's about the extent of it. Some trucks and trailers, so it's not a ton of stuff, but we are, as we grow our company, and, when I started, we had 30 employees, now we have almost 80, so it's a lot more trucks and trailers, and we're running out of places to park, so this site will definitely help us, with that capacity.
So there will also be a gate constructed to separate the storage from the retail operations.
Yeah, so we kind of want to segregate the construction yard area from the retail space. When people drive up to this building, we still want it to feel park-like. We want it to have that aesthetic, the beauty as it is now from 311. We want to maintain that from the front of the site. So we'd like to gate off, the construction side of things. We'll have some kind of privacy fencing set up back there, along with the fencing around the pool that.
The way I understand it, I don't think it will even be visible from 311.
You won't, just like
You
the
won't see it.
trailer park now back there, you
Yeah,
don't see any of that.
you don't see any of that.
So really no different. You're seeing the same building. We want to redo the facade to update the facade on the front of the building, but you won't see any of the construction yard or any equipment from 311.
Lovely. Let's see. So I'm especially excited about that 50-meter pool, and I love the vision of talking about maybe having some regional meets and beyond, bigger events that could occur there, and the splash pad. Maybe you can speak to those things.
Yeah, so my brother and I, our kids are on the swim teams, the Marlins and Hunting Hills summer swim teams, and my brother Lee is especially involved with the swim community. We know all the swim coaches in the community, and we realize Roanoke is lacking a 50-meter pool. We find that this site is, perfectly unique to have such a pool, and just so happens we're in the business of building pools, so it kind of makes sense that, this is kind of a dream we've had, and that we'd like to provide that, to Roanoke, and, we see an investment opportunity as well. And then the splash pad, if we decide to go that route, we could host, some birthday parties or something like that on the private side. Mostly with the pool, we see us leasing out this facility to swim teams and learn to swim programs and other, instructional type aquatic activities and programs. So this won't be a open to the public type pool. It will be a geared program towards aquatic type activities that we'll lease out.
So did I see something about potentially renting out the splash pad for birthday parties and such?
Yeah, if we decide to go that route, that's something we thought would be fun. You don't see a lot of splash pads in Roanoke at all, besides maybe the Green Ridge Center. So we build a lot of those, so we feel like that's a component that we could invest in as well, and provide some recreation to the community as well.
That's great. So the cell tower remains, and I'm hoping that you all will inherit that contract.
Yeah, so we don't own, or Moose Lodge doesn't currently own that. They sold their rights to that.
Oh, okay.
So there's no income being produced from that.
Okay. That's unfortunate. I'm just curious, and I don't know if we can pull up a picture of the parcels, but I'm just curious, just for informational purposes, how many of these parcels are owned by you all and family members?
Sure.
You want this one, or you want that one?
That one,
That's better.
yeah.
So the property just to the south is mine, 3072. Just to the northwest there, you see the pond and the field. WRV also owns that as well, as 10 acres that we maintain. Basically, just a large field with a pond that we fish in and maintain. And just north of that, you'll see another larger pond. Just to the left is a smaller pond. That's my mother's property. She has 6.5 acres. And then she once had 30 acres that she subdivided to my brothers and myself. So above that, we actually own 3 other pieces of property as well. So we've lived there since 1985. And so we're very, very familiar with this area, and I really look forward to improving it. So
It really is home.
yeah.
Let's see. I was just making a comment. I think it's already been noted that there were other I-1, I-2.
You got
National
Vector Boiler and some of the other businesses down the road.
I think just legacy. things that have gone on there for a long time. National Pools of Roanoke was founded in 1977, has been doing business for 48 years, third generation, family-owned pool construction and maintenance company. So I anticipate a 50th anniversary coming up.
Yeah, very fitting, yes, ma'am.
I could see that being a party. You said something about 75 current employees and that you anticipate growth. Will that include new employees?
You know, slowly, I think we've reached a pretty good spot now with the job and the load demand that we have. So I don't anticipate a very
Significant
growth from this point going forward, but obviously some.
Ball field use will continue?
Yes, ma'am. So a beautiful spot they currently have. It is starting to be in that floodplain area, so it does get a little marshy down there, but great spot, beautiful view. We will need to maintain the road and improve the road going to that area of the property and create some additional parking. But we would like to see that, you know, be improved as well, and maybe rent that out to some travel ball teams that, you know, in the springtime are lacking fields in this area. They're always fighting over fields, and this is something that we could offer and rent out to travel baseball, softball teams.
That's great. So 45 plus or minus vehicles will be stored on the property potentially?
Yes, ma'am. We have probably 30, 35 pickup trucks, some which go home every night, some that stay parked on site. And we have, 10 or 15 large trucks, dump trucks and flatbed trucks, and a handful of trailers. So not a ton, but it's starting to overgrow our
5 acres.
place on Melrose.
So how long do you anticipate phase 1 will take?
That's a loaded question. We don't know yet. We're hoping, to get started on the pool project. That's phase 1, the pool house, and getting the pool operational for 2026 would be ideal. So we're hoping to focus on that phase, and then, slowly work on phase 2, which would be moving the whole company, but we see that taking a minimum of 5 years.
And I think that is all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Any other questions of the petitioner?
Oh, I just look forward to welcoming them to Roanoke County.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Yeah, and just to add to that, my father and I moved our construction business out of Roanoke City in 2001. It was not a happy departing, but we relocated in Roanoke County and I'm very happy. So I agree with Mr. North. Welcome. Finally, you came over to Roanoke County. Thank you, Mom, for doing that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I will open the public hearing for the pool. Okay. State your name, who you are.
Good evening, Eric Sischal, Roanoke Regional Chamber. Wasn't expecting to speak in support of that,
Okay.
but speaking in support of the next application, but certainly Roanoke Regional Chamber supports this application. Certainly hearing all the details. Appreciate Ms. Hooker, appreciate your questions, and really just congratulate the Vaughn family on their continued commitment to our region. And certainly appreciate their investment in Roanoke County is going to help enhance that property, and hearing those details on that application. Roanoke Regional Chamber absolutely supports this application. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other clerk? Nothing? Okay. Okay. At this time, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
So I had one more quote that I found from the Vaughns that I really want to summarize real quickly, and then I'll make the positive motion here in just a second, that they would like the opportunity to enhance this property, not only to support the growth of our business, but to contribute to the recreational environment in the area. And so I just really appreciate what their vision involves, and giving back to the community and doing great things where you're seeing the need and filling that need. And we really appreciate that. With that, I would like to make a motion to approve. I find that the proposed zoning request, number one, is not consistent with the Roanoke County Comprehensive Plan's future land use designation of rural village. However, there are similar outlying industrial properties in the area near the proposed rezoning. Number 2 is a good zoning practice, and number 3 will not result in substantial detriment to the community. I therefore move that we approve the rezoning request as it has been requested with the following one proffer. The development of the property shall be in substantial conformance with the concept plan entitled WRV Properties LLC dated August 26, 2025, prepared by Balzer and Associates Incorporated, subject to those changes required by Roanoke County during its comprehensive site plan review. I also find that the proposed special use permit, number 1, meets the requirements of Section 30-19-1 of the Roanoke County Code, and that the proposed special use conforms with the standards set forth in Article 4, Use and Design Standards of the Roanoke County Zoning Ordinance. Number 2, is not in conformance with the Roanoke County Comprehensive Plan's future land use designation of rural village. However, the continuation of any club activities on the property could be in line with the desired land use types in rural village areas. And number 3, will have a minimum adverse impact on the surrounding neighborhood and community. I therefore also move that we approve the petition to obtain the special use permit to operate a construction yard. Thank you, sir.
Okay, that was a long motion.
Yes, it was.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes. Thank you. We move to item 4, petition of Hamler Properties LLC to rezone approximately 3.8 acres from AR, Agricultural Residential District, to AV, Agricultural Village Center District, and obtain a special use permit to construct a multifamily development located at 3037 and 3133 Rue Trough Road, Vinton Magisterial District. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So this property is located, there's 2 sites very close together off of Rue Trough Road. One has some frontage also on Huffman Lane. So 2 sites, but one project. So, as you mentioned, 3037 Rue Trough Road, 3133 Rue Trough Road, and a small portion that doesn't have an address off of Rue Trough Road, which is 0 Rue Trough Road. 3.8 acres. Currently, there's a single-family dwelling on one of the properties, and then the property that's on Huffman and Rue Trough is vacant. So, requesting to rezone from AR to AV, and then requiring or getting a special use permit for multifamily dwellings or apartments. So, this originally came in, and there was a public hearing held on August 5th. The Planning Commission voted to continue it to October 7th of just this month. So at that meeting, there were 7 citizens who spoke. They all spoke in opposition. They raised concerns about current traffic on Huffman, Rue Trough Road, including large numbers of bicyclists and traffic to Explore Park, security-related issues with unknown individuals, site distance issues, high density and height of the development, water and sewer issues, and increased development already occurring in the area. Emphasized that the proposed development did not fit in the quiet neighborhood of Huffman Lane and would prefer single-family homes rather than apartments. So, one of the reasons they tabled it was water and sewer issues back in August. Was one of the issues that the Planning Commission tabled it for the 2 months. So we met after that meeting with the applicant and the West Virginia Water Authority following the public hearing. It was determined that the multifamily development would not be able to connect to public sewer at that time. They wanted them to do a larger project with the lift station. It wasn't economically feasible. So that request back in August was to rezone the property to R3. R3 requires you to hook to public water and sewer. So after we met with the Water Authority and the applicant, the other alternative was, and it's still the same project, but it's a different way to get there, was to rezone to AV and get a special use permit for multifamily dwellings. In AV, you don't have to connect to public sewer. You can do it with drain fields. So same project, the only difference is instead of connecting to public sewer, which would be very costly and prohibitive for them to do, they're going to have drain fields associated with this project. A couple photos along Rutroff Road for the site that's further down. Again, mainly wooded. There is an existing abandoned home on it, as you see here on the right-hand side of the property. And so this is the property off of Huffman Lane. This is kind of the back end of the property. The property on the right is looking back towards Rutroff Road, and all the pictures kind of progress towards Rutroff Road that you see. You can see it's somewhat wooded. And this is the view from Rutroff Road as well, and showing the adjacent property off of Rutroff Road on that property that adjoins Huffman Road. So the first site, which is the 31, 33, and 0 Rutroff Road, contains 2 single-family residences. Both residences are currently vacant. Roanoke County tax assessment records estimate those residences were built roughly around 1935. The second site, which is at 37 Rutroff Road and also Huffman Lane, is vacant and wooded. I'm not going to read through all of this. Again, 3 or more dwelling units is considered a multifamily dwelling and for permanent occupancy. Again, there are use and design standards associated with multifamily in the AV district, which they have to comply with. Obviously, they have to meet these standards also associated with AV. And again, this will have to go through site plan and building plan review for their development. So this is the site further down Rutroff Road. What they're proposing is 2 buildings. They would have 4 units each in them. So there'll be a total of 8 dwelling units on this property. You kind of see the outline of a dashed line toward the rear of the property. That's the area for potentially the septic field that would be used for this property. The other property that's on Rutroff and Huffman shows 2 proposed and 2 future buildings. So obviously that will be a total of 16 dwelling units on that property, as well as a multi-use or multi-purpose room for the residents as well. Kind of elevations of the buildings, so kind of looks like a home. Again, 4 units in each building. And they could have either 2 bedroom units or 1 bedroom and a 3-bedroom configuration, depending on what is marketable at the time that they would build. Existing zoning, so is AR. To the north is AG3, that's the Blue Ridge Parkway. All the surrounding is AR as well. Again, it is, one of the land uses is development, which is looking for future residential development in the area. The proposed use is consistent with that development land use. Neighborhood conservation is where you want to have the continued development pattern. Again, the rezoning special use permit are not consistent with that for multifamily dwellings in neighborhood conservation. You can see how they are related. Most likely this is neighborhood conservation because it's the subdivision that's all behind it, right? And that was a single family subdivision, that's why it's designated neighborhood conservation. So originally there were 7 when it was the original thing to go to R3. This proposal that you have before you went to the Planning Commission for public hearing again in October 7th. There was 1 citizen who spoke about concerns about traffic with the new development. The commission discussed the suggested conditions, buffers, site plan process, septic systems for the project, maximum number of dwelling units that could be built, the need for housing in the county, again, surrounding zoning and land uses in the future land use designations. So the Planning Commission does recommend approval of the rezoning from AR to AV and approval of the special use permit for multifamily dwellings with the following conditions. 1, the property shall be developed in substantial conformance with the concept plans entitled Conceptual Site Plan 3133 Rutroff Road and Conceptual Site Plan 3037 Rutroff Road, both prepared by Jones & Jones Associates, both dated August 28th, 2025, subject to any changes required during the comprehensive site plan review process. And number 2, the building shall be constructed in general conformance to the elevation drawings entitled Ballyhack Luxury Apartments, Hamler Properties LLC, prepared by Jones & Jones Associates, dated June 6, 2025, subject to any changes required during the building plan review process. With that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions from Mr. Thompson?
I have questions.
Okay.
On this, when you were speaking of the original hearing, then they postponed it and went back and came back to put it on septic systems.
Yep.
Has this property already been perked for the septic systems of that many units?
I will let the applicant speak to that. I don't know if they've done the perk test for that, but they can come up and address that.
Okay, okay. And also, do you know, will it be on public water, or again, will they
I
have
think
to
the
dig wells
intent-
for that?
I think the intent is to be on public water. I think they just need to work it out through with the Parkway of Access and the Water Authority. I think public water is the doable thing. I think the issue with sewer was that they would have to build a bigger project for the area because it's a high pressurized sewer line there. And so it just didn't make sense for them to do that. So I
Okay.
do believe it'll be public water, and I think it'll be septic. But again, I think the applicant or the representatives of the applicant will speak to that.
Okay, I'll wait till they come up.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions from Mr. Thompson? Yeah, Mr. Mahoney?
What's the density and how many units total?
They
Both
basically,
projected-
they are, for what AV is zoned, they are maximizing the density that can be built for AV. So the total number of units is 24 between the two properties on 3.8 acres.
So it's about 8 units an acre?
No, well,
6?
it's 4. If you almost go to 4, it'd be 6 units. So it's between 6 and 7 would be my guess is what the, if you take 24 divided by 3.8, it's,
Okay. But that's consistent with AV?
that's the maximum they could build. So
Maximum.
even if we didn't have conditions, that's the most they would be able to build on the property.
Thank you.
Part of the issue also with this is, so the special use permit is for the multifamily dwellings. If for some reason this project doesn't go through, for whatever reason, this is where, before when it was going to R3, were going to proffer these same conditions, okay? Since it's a special use permit, if it's not used for multifamily dwelling, the conditions only apply to that use. You still could develop the property by right under AV, which would allow single family to go forward. So if for some reason there was something, which is kind of a benefit to this project, is that if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, I'm not saying it's going to, but you still could build single family without having to come back. Whereas what was R3 with conditions, you would have to come back in that
Thank you.
process.
Okay. At this time, I'll invite the petitioner or a representative of the petitioner to come forward and speak about the project.
My name is Justin Beckner with Jones & Jones Architects, here as a representative for the owner. First and foremost, the owner, Mr. Hamler, was unable to make it tonight. He expresses his sincere apologies for not making it. He's in Chicago and couldn't get a flight back, so I'm here to speak on the project. I don't have a whole lot more to say than what Mr. Thompson said, but we've been working on this for almost a year now, and, we put a lot of work in to try to make this fit where it is, and we do believe that we've kind of got it to a point where it fits good in the area. The scale is smaller, the densities are low. We think it does fit into the residential landscape of the area. We're excited to get going on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've met with Mr. Hamler several months back, and he lives nearby this residence,
His property abuts the smaller piece of property.
which gives me a little bit of comfort knowing that he will be nearby and know what his residents are
Right.
doing. But do you know the answer regarding the drain fields?
Yes, they're drain fields. The property has not been physically perked. Let me get some paperwork out here. Well, based on some public records, the soils are on the upper end as far as good soils. So I can tell you, I don't know if it means anything to anybody, but they're haze fill, fine sandy loam. On the high end of requirements, they require 315 square feet per bedroom for the drain field. And what we've had shown on the slide that was up earlier, even with the 50% increase from the Department of Health, we're showing double that size for the drain field as far as availability. So we
So
have-
will they do one system for all
we would attempt to.
24 units?
No, more than likely, there'll be a separate system on each, one system for each property, because there is a property between the two that we would have to
Between the
connect to. We have discussed possibly trying to connect them so that we can only have to have one field, but that just depends on if we have access through those properties, things of that matter. But worst case, it will be a separate drain field, and we have the capacity to handle that.
Okay. And do you know about the public water, what
We
the
will connect to
intentions
public water.
are?
Yes.
Okay. What is the number of bedrooms for all 24 units that you're looking at?
Well, so each building on each floor will either have one bedroom and one 3-bedroom, or two bedrooms. So it's an average of 2 bedrooms per unit, so it will be 48 bedrooms.
48 bedrooms. All right. And it's also my understanding that a lot of the surrounding properties are owned by Mr. Hamler's family. Is that correct?
I can't speak to exactly the relationship, but I was told the same thing.
Okay.
There are different last names, so I can't speak to who's related and how they're related, but yes, Mr. Hamler expressed that as well, that I know his mother grew up in the area, he grew up in the area, and a lot of the residents close by are of relation, so.
Okay, all right. I think that's all I've got for right now.
Okay. So, Justin, these rental units,
Do what?
are they rental units?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I didn't
I'm
quite
sorry.
understand that. In the septic field, Tammy, it wouldn't matter if the soil's bad because they have advanced systems that will treat the.
I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
we weren't going to run into a problem with that many.
Yeah.
That's a lot of bedrooms.
Yeah, well, you usually do mass drain fields and that many units, so and it's gravity, I presume.
Yes, that would be the
Okay. You're not
intent,
pumping
the hope.
anywhere. Gotcha. Any questions of the architect? Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, I will open the public hearing, and clerk, do we have any citizens come forward?
Sorry, I got in late. I'm official. Good evening again. Again, good to see everybody. Chairman Radford, Board of Supervisors. Again, wasn't planning to speak in support of the last one, but definitely here to speak in support of this. So on behalf of the chamber, we support this project, and specifically for Supervisor Shepherd for your district in Mount Pleasant and that Vinton area. Again, for us, our mission is to promote, stimulate, and improve business, and this is an easy way to be able to accomplish that mission. As you all know, we influence public policy. We don't endorse candidates, but we endorse ideas and endorse public policy that makes sense for our region's growth. And really, this project, we believe, aligns with supporting that mission. It's housing, it's balanced growth, and economic vitality in that area. It's low density, 48 bedrooms with 24 units. We certainly believe that it's low density, and it's, from our belief, does not believe it's going to place any additional stress on Rotal Road or existing facilities or transportation within that area. Actually, is very well positioned to be a connector for the folks that live there. Maybe if they're they work in healthcare, certainly very easy for them to get to what that potential employment would be. And again, close to Explore Park, so hopefully we know that hopefully folks that live there have the opportunity to take advantage of that certainly proud piece of property for Roanoke County. In addition, just again, we ask for your support on this project on behalf of the applicant. Again, knowing the applicant, he's certainly is a resident of the area, but also is focused on our region's growth. He's got multiple entities and multiple businesses that help support our region's growth, and certainly we believe through knowing the applicant that that's what his vision and focus is to help ensure that he's got neighbors around him and helping to ensure that there's a low-density project that helps supports the region's growth. So again, on behalf of the chamber, we absolutely support this project. So thanks for the opportunity to speak.
All right, thank you. Any further people signed up, Madam Clerk? Okay. So at this time, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
Do you know what the rent range of these properties are going to be?
I do not know that, no.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Okay, with that being said, knowing the Mount Pleasant community there are not a lot of rental properties over there at all. And I seem to find that if you're from the Mount Pleasant community, you typically stay in the Mount Pleasant community. They don't travel very far out. So I feel like that this will allow, you know, some of the younger citizens and potentially some of the older ones a place to live if they are not a homeowner. Also being the fact that he does live right near the property and will be able to handle his tenants and clientele, as well as his family being right by, and I'm sure watching it as well. I find that the proposed rezoning request is partly consistent with the purpose and intent of the county's adopted comprehensive plan. It is good zoning practice and will not result in substantial detriment to the community. I therefore move that we approve the rezoning request that has been requested. I also find that the proposed special use permit meets the requirements of Section 30-19-1 of the Roanoke County Code, and that the proposed special use conforms with the standards set forth in Article 4, Use and Design Standards of the Roanoke County Zoning Ordinance, is partly in conformance with the Roanoke County Comprehensive Plan, and will have a minimum adverse impact on the surrounding neighborhood and community. I also therefore move that we approve the petition to obtain a special use permit with the following two conditions. The property shall be developed in substantial conformance with concept plans entitled Conceptual Site Plan -3133 Rootroff Road and Conceptual Site Plan 3037 Rootroff Road, both prepared by Jones & Jones Associates and both dated August the 28th, 2025, subject to any changes required during the comprehensive site plan review process. The building shall be constructed in general conformance to the elevation drawings entitled Valley Hack Luxury Apartments, Hamler Properties, LLC, prepared by Jones & Jones Associates, dated June the 6th, 2025, subject to any changes required during the building plan review process.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? And hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes, thank you. We move to item L, reports and inquiries of board members. Ms. Hooker, you're up first.
I've talked a lot tonight. I'm going to try to make it really quick.
Okay.
But the first thing is, we had a fabulous Salem Animal Hospital celebration last Saturday. It was their 80th anniversary and ribbon cutting for their new facility, exceptional medical care for our pets, and it was a fantastic party. They really went out of their way to make it a great event. The second thing is I'm really pleased with the projects that we passed forward tonight. I think this was really a great trend going forward with some properties that needed to be repurposed, and I'm excited about this. This is a really good and positive for Roanoke County. There were two announcements that Isaac asked me to make just prior to coming into the meeting earlier today. There is a Glenver Center Plan community meeting tomorrow night at Fort Lewis Elementary School from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. on West Main Street. And this community meeting is a follow-up to the first round of community meetings held in spring 2025. Attendees will have the opportunity to review and provide input on draft recommendations for the Glenver Center Plan. It will be an open house style community meetings where attendees come and go. And the second meeting is the following week on Thursday, November 6th at 2 p.m. There's going to be a ribbon cutting. I'm so excited about this one for the West Roanoke River Greenway. And this has been a long time coming. Next Thursday, November 6th at 2 p.m. at the Trailhead parking lot, 2244 West Riverside Drive, Salem. And there's going to be event parking and shuttle. If traveling by car, please park at Green Hill Park, and then there will be a shuttle to go to the trailhead. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So come early for that shuttle.
Come early.
Gotcha. Thank you, Ms. Hooker. Mr. Mahoney.
Three things, Mr. Chairman. Tomorrow, on behalf of the board, I'll be attending the GO State of the Region report that'll be held at the Taubman Museum tomorrow afternoon. Mr. Kaywood will be there, Ms. Baker, and some of her staff. I think that's exciting to find out what the GO folks are talking about in our, Mr. North is going to be there also. Great. Excellent.
Make sure you keep straight.
We'll have good representation. Second, I did not secure Ms. Hooker's permission, but my wife and I did travel up 311 this past weekend. We looked at one of our land use matters, and also we enjoyed the hospitality of the Solstice Farm Brewery, which is a beautiful facility up in Blacksburg Road. And then finally, I want to thank Dr. Sams and Rebecca Gunn for the invitation to the Virginia Tech football game last Friday. That's part of their governmental relations program. And we had an opportunity to meet with a lot of other local government officials in our region and interact with them. And I know I had the opportunity to talk to some representatives of some other jurisdictions in our area that we do work with. So I think it was pretty beneficial. With that, Mr. Chairman, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shepherd.
I'm just going to go ahead and add to Paul's comment about the Virginia Tech game. It was a great time to meet all the other folks as well, but it was a great time to spend with all of you all. And what a great game on top of it. The only couple things that I do have, one is I wanted to thank the Parks and Rec again for their picnics that they help put on for the employees. We did attend one of those on October 24th, and I guess that's the last one of the season, but I'll tell you what, they put a lot of effort and a lot of work into that. So I just want to give a shout out to them and tell them thank you for all of that. And it's a good time for us to be able to come and serve the employees. The other, I was invited on October 24th to Hotel Roanoke to do a welcoming for the General Federation Women's Club. It was a Southeastern Region Conference, and it was a room of maybe somewhere between 150 and 175 women. And I was able to speak to all of them, and I just wanted to thank them for allowing me to come in. And then the last thing I've got is if you need to take your children anywhere trick-or-treating, the town of Vinton does theirs. Typically, it was supposed to be today, but was rained out. So they are having it this Thursday from 3 to 6 p.m. at downtown Roanoke. And we would love to see everybody come out and enjoy it and see all the little kiddos dressed up. So that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Mr. North.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today, at the early hour of 07:30, I attended the Virginia Blue Ridge State of Transportation, sponsored by the Regional Chamber, at the Botetourt County building. In fact, we met in the boardroom there. The VEDP speaker talked about primary and secondary reasons for expansions and economic benefits, and some of these things we already know. Number one, project-ready sites, a good labor supply, and a strong transportation network, which I believe we qualify for. The Virginia Passenger Rail Authority was there to speak about things happening around the Commonwealth, undergoing $2.7 billion addition of a new bridge across the Potomac River next to the current Long Bridge is underway. It will improve north-south transportation to and from the Northeast Corridor into the states of North Carolina, Virginia, and so forth for rail network. Today, that bridge, the current bridge has been there for over 100 years or longer, is at 98% capacity. They will eventually start working on the trusses, but the trusses are the easy part. The hard part is the rail installation, where they'll have to have 5 hours a day where nothing happens except their construction. And trains, I'm sure, will be impacted in some rescheduling over the next 5 years, beginning next year. The airport director spoke about Fly for the Future from ROA. There needs to be a business case to justify runway expansion. Efforts are beginning on that, and with the press release that was made recently and Cardinal News, and Eric Sashaw, who's no longer here, but he got ready. He told me today that I asked him if they're going to put it anyplace else, and perhaps in the Virginia Business Story, a toolkit for businesses to grow their use of ROA is coming. And today, currently, and I haven't played with it yet, but there's a calculator on the Fly ROA website that you can play with to convince you to use ROA, even though you might think you're saving money going someplace else. This is supposed to differentiate that and mitigate those costs to convince you otherwise to apply ROA. VDOT spoke about the Salem District projects. There are currently 200 in design, $1.9 billion price tag. There are currently under construction 1.6 billion or 95 projects. A lot of these are along the 81 corridor. There are 6 phases between exits 118 and exits 150 over in Daleville. 6 phases equal $2 billion with completion around 2031. There are also today, we learned that the governor has found money for $269 million fix of the S-curves up in the Buchanan area. County Administrator Kaywood and I both spoke at the public hearing today in Salem to support the S-curves as well as all the other improvements along the corridor through Roanoke County. It touched on other projects in the area that are underway and soon to be underway. Through cuts, for example, as you go from Home Depot over to Lowe's, you save 15 to 20% improvement in fluidity along that corridor. At least that's what they're saying is going to happen.
Tell my constituents.
And I'll let you do that, Mr. Mahoney. That's why I'm giving you this ammunition. Also, improvements along the 460 corridor with through cuts, but also with R cuts. And all those other cuts is supposed to save 10 minutes, but I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to test that one out when they're completed. And they will be starting in the first quarter of 26. And then, of course, as I mentioned a moment ago, Richard Kaywood and I went over to speak on behalf of the S-curves to support that effort in our neighboring regional partner, Botetourt County. And I want to thank VDOT for allowing us to go first so we can get back here in time for the 6 o'clock meeting. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I was just sent one more announcement. If
Go
I
ahead.
could just read it real quickly.
Go ahead.
There's another opportunity for trunk or treating, and it's Roanoke County will host its 3rd annual trunk or treat event on Friday, October 31st from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Northside Middle School Bus Lot, 6810 Northside High School Road. The community is invited to attend the family-friendly event, which includes face painting and games, bounce house, and obstacle course, touch-a-truck experience, candy, and hot chocolate. Can't beat that. Staff from counties, public safety agencies will be on hand to meet while providing a safe and fun evening for families. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you for that. I got a couple things. Mr. North, it's past 7:30. You started at 7:30 this morning. That's like 12 hours. You probably want overtime pay for today.
Well, I ain't finished yet.
Yeah. Oh, you still got more after this.
It's not midnight yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got a few things to touch on real quick. It's because it's getting late. Past Monday, the Back Creek Civic League held their candidate forum, and we had the 41st House of Legislature candidates were there. They both spoke. And we had the school board members, the 2 candidates for Windsor Hills, and they both spoke. I did get up. I was allowed to speak, running unopposed, but I told the crowd, I read off the 6 items that we have for our legislative, which they really liked, those 6 bullet points, so I hit all that. Then I briefly talked about the water line extension. All the residents over there know what's going on because all you got to do is go up Pogue Valley Road and the roads, the big water lines going in. So just a reminder to be sure to vote next Tuesday. Next time we meet, we will have voted, so vote on November 4th. And also, there's a community meeting and survey on Monday, November the 10th, from 5 to 7. It's in regards to the Route 419 Electric Road from Starkey Road to Springwood Park Drive. It is here at the Roanoke County Administration Center on the 3rd floor, which is 5204 Bernard Drive. It's an open house style community meeting where attendees, you can come and go as you please. The inclement date, weather date for that is November 12th, if it doesn't happen on the 10th. And at that point, I am done. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you, and I'll second that. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd? Yes. Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Not be very helpful. Why?
This was some research that we did some time ago, just talking